I called her sweetheart. She blushed and said, "Say it again." Beginning. The stars outside the viewport shimmered like a frozen sea. I leaned against the railing of the observation deck, exhausted after another 16-hour shift repairing the fractured conduits of the ardent Voyager. Our ship had been limping across the Orion expanse for weeks after a skirmish with pirates left her hull cracked and her engines bleeding energy like a wounded beast. For me, a mechanic born on Earth's ruined industrial belts, space was supposed to mean freedom. Instead, it meant scraping grease from my fingernails and patching machines that should have been retired decades ago. Still, I loved this ship, the last home for misfits, wanderers, and exiles. And that's when she walked in. She wasn't human, though the resemblance was close enough to unsettle me. Tall, slender, with silver blue skin that shimmered faintly under the deck lights. Her hair flowed like strands of obsidian ink, and her eyes, deep violet, flecked with faint rings of gold, carried a weight I couldn't describe. She was part of the Kalari, a species known across the spiral arms for their elegance, intelligence, and their rumored cold detachment. Her name was Lasara. She was the ship's xenolinguist and cultural envoy, hired when our route began taking us into uncharted territories. Where I worked with wires and plasma conduits, she worked with words and gestures, untangling alien dialects before they became conflicts. I had never spoken to her much, though the crew often whispered about her. Some claimed her people had telepathic gifts, others said Kalari never lowered themselves to joke or laugh. To me, she was simply untouchable. Until that night. She stood beside me at the viewport, her hands clasped behind her back. For a long time, we both said nothing, just watched the cosmos crawl by. Finally, she asked, "Do humans always stare at the stars as though they ache?" The question startled me. "We stare because we're always wishing we were somewhere else," I said. She tilted her head, considering. "Kalari do not wish. We accept." I chuckled, a tired sound. "That must be nice." She studied me for a moment, her violet eyes softening. And before I could stop myself, maybe because of the fatigue or the way she looked at me like I wasn't just another grease-stained mechanic, I said it. "Sweetheart, you sound like you've got it all figured out." The word slipped out carelessly, like I had spoken to a fellow crewmate at the bar. But when I turned, her cheeks shimmered with a faint violet blush. Her eyes widened, then lowered. "Say it again," she whispered. I blinked. "What?" "That word. Sweetheart. Say it again." And just like that, everything I thought I knew about the Kalari crumbled. Middle. Over the next days, something changed between us. She began joining me during late repairs, watching curiously as I wrestled with conduits and sparking panels. She asked about Earth customs, nicknames, gestures, why humans bothered with small talk. I explained clumsily, trying to show her the warmth hidden in our words. She tested them on me. Sometimes she'd say buddy or pal, though the words rolled oddly in her melodic accent. But her favorite was sweetheart. She said it shyly at first, then bolder, each time watching me with those glowing eyes, as though studying my reaction. The crew noticed, of course. Whispers spread, how the cold Kalari woman now lingered near the mechanic's bay, how she seemed to smile when he entered the mess hall. It made me nervous, but it also made me feel seen. Then the crisis came. We were entering the Althean Rift, a stretch of uncharted nebula infamous for swallowing ships whole. Captain Brenner wanted to avoid it, but the alternative route would add 6 months to our journey, and with our damaged engines, supplies wouldn't last that long. So we plunged into the rift. Almost immediately, things went wrong. Strange distortions twisted the ship's sensors, gravity fluctuated, and half our navigation relays burned out. I was waist-deep in a junction box when the emergency alarm blared. An unidentified vessel was shadowing us inside the rift. It wasn't pirates. It wasn't any design we recognized. The ship was alive. A vast, organic structure of bone-white plating and pulsating veins of light drifted toward us like a predator scenting prey. The crew scrambled, but our weapons were useless. Disruptions in the rift scrambled targeting systems. That's when Lasara stepped forward. "This is not chance," she said in the command deck, her voice calm despite the chaos. "My people have legends of rift dwellers. Entities that test those who wander here. They do not respond to force, only to words. The captain looked at her skeptically. You want to talk to that thing? She nodded. But I will need his help. She pointed directly at me. I nearly dropped the plasma torch still in my hand. Me? Her gaze was steady. You have a way of speaking that disarms. Words that carry weight not through logic, but through warmth. It listens differently than we do. It will respond to what you call affection. The captain barked, we don't have time for experiments. But Lysara held her ground. If we do not try, we die. Minutes later, I found myself in the comms chamber, staring at a shifting mass of organic plating filling the screen. Strange pulses vibrated through the air, its attempt at communication. Lysara sat beside me, her hands glowing faintly as she translated fragments of meaning. Hunger, curiosity, loneliness. It believes we are intruders, she whispered. But it is not angry, it is uncertain. My throat went dry. What do I say? Speak as you do to me. Speak as humans do when they wish to soothe. So I leaned toward the microphone and said, Hey there, sweetheart. We didn't mean to disturb you. We're just passing through. The alien pulses slowed. A ripple of light spread across its surface, as though it were pausing. Again, Lysara urged softly. Sweetheart, we're tired travelers. We mean no harm. The ship shuddered around us as gravity waves surged, then stabilized. The entity's pulses deepened, resonating like a heartbeat. Lysara's eyes widened. It's coming. I kept talking, stringing words I never imagined saying to an alien leviathan. I spoke of home, of longing, of how humans call each other nicknames to soften the edges of hardship. I told it we were afraid, but also curious. That sometimes, calling someone sweetheart was a way of saying you're not alone. The Rift Dweller responded with a low hum, almost musical. And then, impossibly, it drifted aside, clearing a path through the turbulence. We survived. The crew celebrated, but Lysara only looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Later, in the quiet of the observation deck, she finally spoke. You used the word to soothe a being older than empires. And it listened. Do you understand what you did? I shook my head. I just called it what I called you. Her cheeks shimmered with that violet blush again. She stepped closer, so close I felt the faint hum of her bioluminescence against my skin. Say it again, she whispered. Sweetheart, I breathed. And for the first time Lysara smiled, not the practiced diplomatic smile she showed the captain, but something radiant and unguarded. Ending. From that day, we were inseparable. The crew teased, but they also respected. After all, together we had spoken down a rift leviathan. But it wasn't simple. Lysara's people, the Kalari, were known for strict codes of detachment. Emotions were considered dangerous, a weakness that could unravel their society's careful balance. If word of her behavior reached her homeworld, she could be exiled. Yet she chose to stay by my side. In the quiet hours, she asked me to teach her more human words of endearment. Darling, love, honey. She tried them all, but always came back to sweetheart. Weeks later, when the ardent Voyager finally limped out of the rift, a Kalari vessel intercepted us. For a tense moment, I thought they had come to take her back. But Lysara stepped forward, her voice steady. Tell them I am where I belong. Her people left without further word, though I caught the faintest look of disapproval on their envoy's face. Still, Lysara remained. On the night we finally made orbit around a safe colony world, she joined me again on the observation deck. The stars stretched endless before us, but for once, I didn't feel like I was aching for somewhere else. She took my hand, something no Kalari would ever do in public. Her voice was soft, almost trembling. Say it one more time. I squeezed her hand gently, and whispered, sweetheart. Her violet blush lit up her entire face, and she leaned against me, eyes closed. For the first time in my life, among the endless stars, I realized that sometimes the smallest words could bridge galaxies.